The other story we're covering throughout the morning today, it's International Women's Day and looking at various angles on that. New research reveals a disparity about what men and women do with their money, particularly when it comes to saving or investing. Interesting. Wonder why would that be? Here's some stats for you. Two-thirds, so 67% of women, say they don't invest their money. 56% of men do not. So there's a higher prevalence amongst women for that phenomenon. Main reasons: they don't have enough money. Fair enough. Limited knowledge on investing, on what to invest. Only 27% said that. And what about the risk and thinking it's too risky? That was 19%. Well, the research was done by HSBC, Head of Wealth Distribution. That sounds a great job. Rebecca Owers is joining us from that bank now. Rebecca, you did this research to presumably encourage women, to empower them to make some investment decisions.
Hi, Martin. Thank you for having me. Yes, exactly that. We really want to support and empower women to take control of their financial futures and understand some of the blockers to them being able to do that.
And the blockers are what?
I think, as you said, a lot of it comes down to confidence. Our study showed that, women do want to invest, but I think actually the landscape out there, one of the great things is there's lots of choice, but that can also be really debilitating. So not knowing what products to choose, what platform to select, what wrapper to choose can be really quite daunting. So we're trying to break down some of that information and some of the barriers that are stopping women from investing. We're running inspiring money confidence webinars. They kick off today with a beginner's guide to investments, and breaking down some of those myths and helping to make it really simple to get started.
Well, we can't listen to the whole webinar, but if we were to take one lesson away from webinar number one, what would we learn?
I think the first thing is to get some knowledge and understanding around it. I think knowledge is power, and talking to people can be a really great way of doing that. Whether it's friends and family or a qualified financial advisor, and start small. I think one of the myths that we uncovered with the study was that over 55% of women, compared to 36% of men, think that you need to have a lot of money to start investing. And actually, that's just not true. You can start with as little as £1. So my tip would be, make sure you have an emergency fund there. I would say ideally 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses that's readily available in cash. And if you're ready to start investing, just start small and see what happens. And actually just putting away a little bit every month can add up to a significant amount over the long term.
Yeah, well, the really long term, though, isn't it? That's the point, Rebecca. This is, I imagine that, well, all of us, whether man or woman, we're living a bit day to day these days. There was another stat, I can't remember what it was now. There's a frightening number of people only have like 1 month's worth of buffer if the income were to stop. Is that something you recognize? It's something of that order of magnitude, I think. So people live a little bit hand to mouth, and maybe they don't think they can afford to put something away for a rainy day.
I think that's a real concern. And actually, again, I would suggest that, there's lots of information that you can get from your bank or online, about how to manage your money day to day, how to budget. There might be some great tips in there in terms of how you might be able to save some money, to enable you to start saving for your longer term future.
We just had a conversation a little while ago about STEM subjects, actually, the science and technology and engineering and maths. Is it still a thing, do you think? There's sort of sexism in maths that people assume womankind is not as good at maths as mankind. Is that still a thing?
I don't know, but I think, talking about financial services, I think it has a real, historically, wealth management in particular has been seen as a very male dominated industry, and it has been.
So how did
Um,
you get to your job, Rebecca? What was your did you have a moment, a Damascene moment when you thought, actually, I like all this finance stuff, I can do it?
I actually can remember selecting my GCSE options and saying, I don't know what I want to do in life, but I know one thing: I'll never work for a bank. And I've had a career with
Did you?
HSBC for 26 years. And I had the same misconception that, you had to love maths and enjoy maths to work in financial services. You don't actually, you need to know and love people. And that's what I really enjoy about the job that I do. But I think talking about it and maybe shifting the narrative from, you know, things like some of the nuts and bolts of it, and talking and reframing the conversation in terms of what are the goals that you want to achieve? What is it you want in the future? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your retirement? What do you want that to look like? And then taking some small steps to help you get there. Understand what the gaps are and then start plugging those gaps with some really solid plans.
Good to talk to you, Rebecca. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us this morning. Rebecca's Head of Wealth Distribution at HSBC.